But then maybe the question is also, because when the other agreements were rejected, we were told that something horrible would happen. That didn't happen. How would it be worse to take the case to court and just get to know whether this legal basis is there or not?
If one took it to court, and if the judgment went against you, then the entire amount would be repayable immediately at that point with no question of any escape or evasion. In effect, my view was, take it to court, and if it did go against Iceland, we would be back at a negotiating table at that point.
That was your view?
Yeah. I mean, it's just the practicalities of it. I don't think you have that much money to write the check for that immediately. But it would have significantly eroded your negotiating position at that point. And could you have gotten terms as favorable as these? I don't know. I don't think anyone does know. My view was that the legal niceties of this, while relevant to it, should not be determinative of the outcome. Remember, the hard fact of this is there was a financial loss. There were only three groups that could bear it: the depositors, the British and the Dutch who paid out the depositors, or Iceland. Well, right or wrong, the depositors were paid out in full and quickly. That left only two people standing. And the hard fact of it is there was a financial loss that had to be allocated among those remaining parties to it, and that was the mission, to find a way to allocate it in as fair a manner as possible.
But is it, you say it had to be delegated, what the people that disagree with that, they say, well, you know what, we can't be responsible for interest shoppers in the UK or in Holland. It can't be of our responsibility. Did the Dutch and the British agree with you in that it was a shared responsibility?
I think the terms that they've agreed indicate that this is not a normal government-to-government type loan. Compare it to the terms that the EU is lending to the likes of Ireland or Greece. It is far, far less than that. So I think eventually they agreed that this was not a conventional loan. This was a truly distressed situation. There was probably enough blame to go around in this one.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of blame. And Iceland is still, I think I can say, feel a bit hurt and would like to hear a little apology after the UK declared, they declared us bankrupt, and then the anti-terrorist laws and how they worked against us at the IMF at a very vulnerable moment in the nation's history. Was that something that you could use, or was it solid steel that you met at the negotiating table?
It wasn't solid steel. I mean, those are the atmospherics of a negotiation like this. But what happened, how the various countries behaved, feelings were running very high in all three countries about the matter. There may have been things done that people in retrospect regret, but in a negotiation like this, the mission is to see whether mutually acceptable terms can be arrived at.
Just to clear out the numbers, because you say that it's about maybe 50 billion that could stand out of the principle, but you're actually saying that you're hoping if the return and the return rate of the Landsbanki will be, or the recovery of the Landsbanki will be, as it seems, that nothing will be left in 2016.
That is the current projection. Remember, the government does not control that. There's a resolution winding up committee.
Exactly.
So it is their job to recover the assets, their job to make decisions about distribution.
Is there any estimation from a third party or is it just from the Winding Up Committee?
I'm not aware of a third party, no, because I don't think anyone else has all of the information necessary to make that.
So we're putting a lot of trusts into the Winding Up Committee?
By necessity, yes.
Yeah. Now, this agreement will be presented in the Parliament in Helsinki and then put to a vote, and then it has to go to the President, which said on Bloomberg on November 26th, if the people of Iceland are being asked to pay for the failure of a private bank, they should also have a say in the final outcome, which someone interpreted as some kind of a threat that he would go again to a plebiscite. What would you think of that?
Well, I'm not a politician in anyone's country, fortunately, and obviously your parliamentary and political processes will play out. Outsider looking at it would say there's a reason that you have a parliament, and that is to speak for the people. That proposition that failed banks, that government funds used to cover failed banks must go to the people is not one that one would expect to be replicated elsewhere in the world. We'd be having referenda in the United States every couple of hours if we did that. There's a reason that you have a parliament, and the parliament's elected by the people and speaks for them, no doubt, in a wide variety of matters. I accept that the President viewed the situation earlier this year as an extraordinary one. I'm told it's only the first or second time that such a thing has been done. And he made the decision he did, and things have moved along. I don't think that having made it once, that he now, I'm not going to give him advice, but I wouldn't have thought he need feel that from now on every decision of this kind needs to go to a referendum.
But then the classical question remains looming. What happens if this agreement is rejected? Where do we stand then?
If it's rejected, then the issue remains back on the table, for good or ill.
Do we go to court, or?
That is one possibility. That is one possibility. As a matter of fact, that's the likely outcome, I think.
But there's no way to know, actually, if we would go to a fourth round, or then they would just say, no further, we will take this to court. That wasn't discussed at the negotiating table.
No. There is an old Icelandic expression, it takes three to tango. And I think were that to happen, all three governments would have to decide what is the appropriate course of action for them to take. I don't think we should speculate as to how it might shake out.
Thank you very much for being with us, Mr. Bucket.
Thank you.